Okay, so we are going to look at law of cosines. Previously, we looked at law of sines when we had two angles and a side, so angle, angle, side, and we were trying to find the other missing side. And then we could also look at finding a missing angle if we were given two sides and an angle. So now we're going to look at law of cosines. And where law of sines looks at consecutive, like angle and then an angle and then a side, law of cosines looks at sides and the angle between. So law of cosines, we're dealing with side, angle, side. Really. And then we're also dealing with three sides. So side, side, side. All right, so that when I see those two pieces of information given, then I know that I'm using law of cosines. If you didn't learn these relationships in geometry, that's okay. Now's a good time to learn them. Okay, so let's say that they give me, let's go with the measure of angle A. So let's say they give us the measure of angle A is 112 degrees. And C is 9 and B is 11. Okay, so when I look at my triangle, let's just mark what's given here. So I'm given angle A is 112. I'm given side C is 9 and side B is 11. So do you see that we have side, angle, side? So two sides and the angle between them. That's law of cosines. All right, so what is law of cosines? Since we're using angle A and we're trying to find, we'll say we're trying to find side A right now. All right, since we're using law of cosines, here's the formula for that. Side A is equal to B squared plus C squared minus 2BC. Come on. Oh my goodness. Times the cosine of A. Now, this formula can be written two other ways, right? So we can write this with side B missing, side C missing. All right, we're going to use this one and then I'll write the two other forms. All right, so let's fill in what we know. So I don't know side A, but I do know that B is 11 and that C is 9. And then I have minus 2 times 11 times 9. And then I'm going to multiply that by the cosine of 112 degrees. Again, we need to be in degree mode. Oh, sorry, this is A squared. All right, so I have A squared equals 11 squared plus 9 squared minus 2 times 11 times 9 cosine of 112. Okay, order of operations, guys. This has to be multiplied together. So don't do 11 squared plus 9 squared minus 2. Don't do that and like leave it. We need to put this whole thing in our calculator. In fact, we can go one step ahead and go ahead and take the square root of both sides. And then I can put this whole thing in my calculator. So that whole thing can go in my calculator. So I can do square root and then put the whole thing in there, right? And that will give me side A. Once I have that, I can use law of cosines again to find side B or side C. I have enough information to just stick with law of cosines. And then, once I have two angles, then I have three angles, right? Because I can add those two angles and subtract from 180. All right, so that's law of cosines when I have two sides and the angle between them. So what does law of cosines look like when I have three sides? And I'm looking for an angle. So let's say they give us A is 14, B is 12, and C is 5.8. Okay, so now I'm looking for an angle. Let's say that I'm looking for A. So I have 14. So I'm labeling the sides opposite the angles. So side A would go opposite angle A. Side B goes opposite angle B. Side C goes opposite angle C. All right. So law of cosines. So right now it looks like A squared equals B squared plus C squared minus 2BC cosine A. But I want to solve for this, right? Because I'm looking for the angle. So I'm going to move the B squared and C squared over. So I'm going to subtract B squared and C squared from both sides. And then I'm going to divide both sides by negative 2BC. All right, so I'm going to move the negative to the front, or to the top, so it changes the signs of everything up here. So B squared plus C squared minus A squared divided by 2BC equals cosine A. All right, so this is the formula for finding an angle. All right, so this is my formula for finding an angle. So cosine A equals B squared plus C squared minus A squared over 2BC. We'll talk about patterns in the formula in just a second. All right, so that's the formula I'm going to use. And no, you don't have to derive that every time. Yes, I will give those formulas to you, but I wanted you to see I just wasn't making up a formula. In fact, you could put it into this and solve for cosine A. There's just a lot of room for error, so it's just a lot faster if we plug it into the formula where it's already solved for the angle. All right, so B squared plus C squared minus A squared over 2BC. Notice the stuff that I'm given, the angle that I'm looking for. Here's the side that matches it, and then all the other ones are the other two. All right, so let's plug this stuff in. So plug and chug problem. So 12 squared plus 5.6 squared minus 14 squared over 2 times 12 times 5.6. And that's equal to cosine A. So remember, when we're looking for an angle, we apply cosine inverse or sine inverse, but in this case cosine inverse to both sides. So I have cosine inverse of cosine A is equal to cosine inverse of that big fraction. Right, at this point, it becomes a calculator activity. These guys are going to go away. All right, and then I'm going to make sure my calculator is in degree mode, and I'm going to put this whole thing in using the fraction key. I'm just going to type it in just like it is, and then that will give me the measure of angle A. All right? Okay, so back to the formulas. So let's talk about this real quick before you leave me. So I gave you this formula, but you should be able to write it like b squared equals blah, blah, blah. C squared equals blah, blah, blah. So let's talk about what that would look like. So a squared and the angle, so notice those are going to match. So if I want law of cosines with C, so let me go down here where I have room. Let's talk about the different forms of this. So I had a squared equals b squared plus c squared minus 2bc cosine A. So b squared would be a squared plus c squared minus 2ac cosine of angle B. All right, can you write the c squared without me? So those are the three possible ways that we could write the formula. So the way I remember it is whatever angle I'm looking for or whatever side I'm looking for, those are the only spots you're filling in with that letter. Everything else is the other two sides, right? So that's when I'm looking for a side. So the given would be side, angle, side. I'm given two sides and the angle between them. All right, what if I'm looking for an angle? So this is when I'm given side, side, side. We don't have to solve that formula every time, okay? We'll just use the formula. So it was cosine A is equal to b squared plus c squared minus a squared over 2bc. All right, so whatever angle I'm looking for, the side is over there, and that's the only subtraction in the problem. All right, let's write cosine B out. So that means it's a squared plus c squared minus b squared over 2ac. All right, can you do cosine C without me? All right, and then to finish the problem, we'll do cosine inverse, right? So you could even set it up that way if you want to. Like you could write those formulas as A equals cosine inverse of b squared plus c squared minus a squared over 2bc if you want to. That's fine. That means I'm finding the measure of angle A. Okay? So we'll practice on those when I see you again. Bye, guys.